Hello, everybody, and welcome to today's weekly Wednesday webinar hosted by FunMobility. Today's topic is gamification and digital rewards. We're going to be talking about using gamified promotions and the principles of gamification in lightweight digital marketing campaigns with kind of a mobile-first bent. My name is Kevin Almeida. I'm a mobile marketing strategist here at FunMobility, and I'm joined here by today's guest host, Hudson George, our VP of Products. So he's actually worked on designing a lot of the products that have powered the campaigns that we'll be talking about in this presentation. Give you guys a little bit of a heads up on today's agenda. We're going to be talking for probably about 20 to 25 minutes going through the presentation. We'll hold questions for the end, and then we'll open it up for a short question and answer session once we get finished with the presentation. A recording of this presentation will be sent out to everybody who attended and everybody who wasn't able to attend but who registered tomorrow morning. And don't miss our next weekly Wednesday webinar. Will actually not be next week. We're going to take a couple of week break, but then on April 27th, we'll be back talking about creating fun and engaging web content. That's actually a presentation geared towards web publishers, so a little bit different. We typically target these towards brands. That'll be targeting publishers with some of the new exciting things we're doing with FunMobility for publishers. So if you know anybody who's interested in that, make sure to check it out. All right. Without further ado, I'm Kevin. This is HUD, and FunMobility connects brands and audiences through fun and engaging digital marketing. And we're going to walk through some real-life case studies of how we've done just that. Here's a sample of some of our clients, and underneath it you can see some of the industry recognition we've got. We've won awards from the Mobile Marketing Association, mobilemarketer.com. We got the IBM Leader Award for Excellence in Retail Technology, and we were awarded last year the Best Branded Experience Made for Mobile from the Mobile Excellence Awards for our work with Chiquita. We'll be talking about that today. So today's agenda, we're going to start off talking about what are gamified promotions. That's gamification is a word that gets tossed around a lot. We'll tell you what we're talking about when we say gamified promotions. We're going to walk through some real-world examples, some case studies, and then we're going to wrap it up with just overview of what strategic considerations you want to think about when you're putting together a gamified promotion for your brand. So let's start it off. HUD, what are gamified promotions?
Well, the goal of gamified promotions are the application of game-like elements and principles and non-game context. And really the goal is to get the user motivated to act and to do something that's good for your business, to achieve your business goals.
All right. And so when we're talking about gamified promotions with clients, obviously there's so many millions of things people can do. When you say games, people typically think mobile apps. We're trying to make things much more simple. We focus on HTML5 web-based experiences. There's no app involved. And we try to make things really, really simple for the client. So we say, look, yeah, there's a million choices, there's a million factors, there's a million vendors, but really you only need to make 3 decisions. And those 3 decisions are, who am I engaging? What's your audience? What do I want them to do? What's their experience? And why are they doing it? What's in it for them? What's the incentive? And if you can answer those 3 questions in a way that's a good fit for your audience, that's when you start to see a lot of returns from a gamified promotion. So looking here at a little example, you've got your audience. So let's say you've got your audience is your SMS database or an in-store with an SMS call to action. The experience would be some kind of fun game like this little prize spinner I want them to spin, and then give them their email address. And in return, they're going to get this incentive, which is a coupon or a variety of coupons or a sweepstakes entry or a video or what have you. So if we walk through, starting from the audience as the first factor, we need to define what's the point of discovery, how are we reaching them, and that point of discovery can be through a banner ad, it can be through your website, it can be through an app, an email, social media, it can be in-store with any kind of printed call to action to drive people to take out their phone and engage with it. What's the size and scope of the audience, and what are the targeting criteria if you're doing a media buy, and then the geo identifying. So again, it's not just an app, it's not just a display buy. The nice thing about doing things with HTML5 content is that you can get these fun, interactive, game, app-like experiences, and you can just publish it anywhere you can put a URL, basically. So if we're going to be publishing, say, an ad buy, these are the media targeting criteria that we would have a person identify. And there's a whole range of different criteria that we can target an audience by. We can even target on the per household or physical address. So you have a direct mailing list. We can actually ingest that direct mailing list and target digital ads to those individual households, so like the IP address connected to that household, without any additional information. Proximity for participating retailers, and then any ways that you see as a good demographic or interest category fit that for your target audience, that high value, highly targeted audience, or the people seeing the ads. So that's getting the promotion in front of the right people. The next step is experience. So when I say experience, what are some of the things I'm looking at here?
Well, you have all kinds of experiences that we have with our nanosites technology. A prize wheel is a common mechanic we use, which is nice because it adds a level of mystery. The user spins to receive a prize, or it can be even content. Quizzes, scratch cards, and then we have more UGC experiences, such as photo booth. User can add images over the top of, add stickers over the top of their photos, and those stickers can actually be prizes themselves that the user unlocks by participating.
It's like a branded photo editor.
Yes.
And no app, right? Like if I'm doing this Minions photo editor, I don't need to install an app on my
yeah, that's the value that that's the direction, that's our approach, is we want everybody to be able to access the experience instantly, and the best approach there is mobile web.
And we'll go through some examples, like I said, just a little bit about how you can reach people in different channels in addition to just digital ads or in-app. Here's some of the typical conversion rates we see with these experiences. The prize wheel, you're going to see an 80 to 90% conversion rate. That's probably the single most popular type of experience we offer, is people will click an ad or click a link in an email, and the wheel loads. Almost everybody spins that wheel. It's very rare that people don't want to play that game.
It's universal. It's something we've grown up with, we've seen, we know, and it's instantaneous. One flip of the finger and you get your result. Low effort.
And then the surveys and quizzes, that also obviously depends on the length of the survey, the complexity and the relevance of the survey. But if you have a clear incentive of why they should take this survey, like you're going to get a product recommendation based on how you answer the survey, and so there's real value in it for them, or you're going to be entered in a sweepstakes, you get much higher completion rates on that survey. So lastly, we have audience, we have the experience. What is the audience doing? Are they giving me their email, etc.? Then what's the incentive? You have to clearly communicate that. That's where so many marketing campaigns kind of take a misstep, is they don't clearly and succinctly articulate this immediate incentive. Especially if it's a mobile consumer, it needs to be immediate. You can't say 6 months from now you're going to get something. They need to know they're getting something out of it right now, immediately. And that can be in the form of a sweepstakes entry, mobile coupons and offers, entertaining content like video content, or helpful content like an ebook, or product recommendations, recipes, things like that. And like we said, context is everything. And this is your quote, so where does this quote come from?
Well, it's just from our experiences. Instant Win has a 3 times higher conversion rate than your standard sweepstakes. And I always try and get our clients to provide some kind of instant win or instant prize for the user to take an action and get that reward instantly. And a lot of people, I think a lot of companies think it's high effort or a lot of cost to do that, but it just takes a little thinker, maybe deeper thinking about what you have to offer. And if you look at your content marketing efforts, you can really repurpose a lot of these things and put them as rewards, or incentivize the user.
When we say instant win, obviously I don't take out my phone and I instant win and I instantly have money on my phone, but giving them some kind of digital prize in the form of, sure, money saved, it's a coupon, but again, it can also be a video, recipe, a fun little sticker. When we were doing the campaign with the Minions, they could get Minions, wallpapers, or clips from the movie, little activities, things like that. And the nice thing about digital content is it's very, very scalable. You can send it to as many people as you want at virtually no cost.
And then the value to the user is that they instantly get it. You don't have to have a high value prize, let's say like hundreds or thousands of dollars, right? Or give away your product for free instantly, right? It could be something just like a secret that you provide that you usually send out in your content marketing or CRM efforts. But the fact that the user instantly gets it and the resolution is that quick will get the user motivated to do the activity you want them to do.
Yeah, we talk, I'm going to go back here. We talk a lot about the mobile user, and the important thing is that mobile mindset. It's not the same as somebody browsing a desktop at home. It's not the same as somebody casually walking by a billboard. When you're hitting someone, just anecdotally, everybody knows this. You see people, you use your phone for this, other people use their phone for this. It's these micro bursts of activity where you're very focused and you're achieving a very specific goal, and people are addicted to taking that phone out and getting some kind of immediate reward, some kind of social reward or some kind of little bit of information they've suddenly learned or some quick bit of humor or entertainment. And so creating a campaign, kind of conceiving your incentives around not just a high monetary value incentive, like, okay, enter a sweepstakes. Sure, everybody wants to get a lot of money from entering a sweepstakes, but that providing that emotional instant gratification, that's what keeps people doing it again and again and again.
Well, and it's also, I believe, when the user runs across your brand, you're competing against a lot of different things. You're not competing just against your competitors. You're competing against what the user was intending to do before they came across your ad or your brand, right? Mm-hmm. You're competing with their life. If they're walking down the street and they're talking to their friends. So there's a lot of things you're competing for to get the attention of the user. So having an immediate prize is a nice carrot to have to win that competition war.
It makes that a positive disruption as opposed to a negative disruption. And here's some of the conversion rates we'll see for these types of incentives. Sweepstakes with an email often, we typically see 20 to 30% of people will submit their email. There's a good sweepstakes behind it. If there's digital prizes, you still get a really high option rate. Even without the sweepstakes, we still see about 20% if it's a good campaign. Product recommendations, people will give you their email about 7% of the time. If it's a coupon, you're going to see about 30% of the time. And if it's a personalized coupon, we'll get into a specific case study for this, where they've done something and you've given them a coupon just for them based on who they are. You see much, much higher. In fact, you see 45% redemption rate for the experience that we're going to go through in a little bit. And these are other mechanics that you can also include that are a little bit more advanced than what we're talking about. We're talking about these lightweight, immediate campaigns, but we do sometimes run much more advanced campaigns, especially for apps where people have points and rewards, and they can earn badges, and they can join leaderboards, and this kind of, again, this addictive experience of wanting people to come back again and again and having this habitual behavior that you're encouraging as a brand.
Yeah, this is for retention. Re-engaging.
Right. So yeah, what's an example? Points and rewards.
So this is really to get the user to come back and perform multiple actions, and a lot of times this is done through point system. And through this point system, you can unlock rewards and badges. And then to get these people to become advocates, there's a whole social component layered over the top, which is usually done through leaderboards. Mm-hmm. And you can see who the most active is, who's winning, who has the most status within this niche community around your brand. And another thing that you would probably add on top of this would be some kind of referral incentive, where if you invite your friends in, you get points as well.
So these are kind of like the next step. This is if you've acquired your initial audience, then you talk about things like retention that you were saying, brand affinity, brand advocacy, and just building a community, which in the online space obviously is a tremendous value to a brand that can actually build an active community around its brand.
Yeah, you want to have, that's the marketer's goal, right? To foster these advocates and go take some of those marketing dollars that you're spending, get them to actually go out for free and get them to voice your brand, right?
Well, we always say, I don't think it's in this particular presentation, but one thing we talk about a lot, I talk about this in my CRM webinar, is the goal is not to just reach your audience all the time, because that's expensive. The goal is to find that rented audience where you're renting somebody else's audience from their YouTube channel or their website or their billboard or whatever, where you're paying for the space to get that attention, where it's high value, low reward, and give that audience an incentive to come over to you and become part of your owned audience.
Yeah.
And then it becomes much, much more effective to be able to have a more targeted audience, more valuable audience, and they're so much cheaper to remarket to if they're in your newsletter database, if they're subscribed to your RSS, or if they're like your Facebook page, or they download your app. go on to the next one. We've been talking kind of in the abstract here. We're going to go through a couple of real-world examples. So starting off, here's a case study for Carol's Daughter, which is a beauty products manufacturer and retailer. And we did a lot for Carol's Daughter. We actually did build out a whole app for them that connected their e-commerce server. We're just going to focus on one little piece of it today. We're going to focus on this fun branching quiz that Carol's Daughter served to their consumers, their audience, that personalized the product recommendations and coupons they would receive based on their hair personality, the personality of their hair. So it was this fun, kind of comical, social media, BuzzFeed-style quiz, and people would answer questions. What's your hair's natural state? What's the most frustrating thing for you about your hair? And we would attach all that to a unique user ID, and so we're capturing every answer from every person. So we're gathering business intelligence, CRM database segmentation for Carol's Daughter, and that's great for the brand. And then for the consumer, at the end, they get a custom product recommendation just for them based on how they answered the quiz. And the coupons included in that product recommendation saw a 4.5 times a higher redemption rate compared to your just typical mobile coupon that you'd send out into the wild that was not personalized. So really, it drove much, much higher redemptions in addition to all that business intelligence and all that future database segmentation. So suddenly, I have frizzy hair, my friend doesn't. I only want products for people with frizzy hair. My friend doesn't want products for people with frizzy hair. Well, if you're just sending out general offers, you're sending me and my friend a lot of offers that we will never use and don't care about. But if you can do something like this where you're then having this fun, gamified way of giving us recommended offers in the short term and then segmenting your database, so every time I get a newsletter or a push notification from Carol's Daughter, I know it's going to be for a product that is relevant to me. Mm-hmm. And that dramatically increases conversions.
But yeah, the personalization or the quiz, I think, enhanced the perceived value of the coupon, right? Mm-hmm. I had to go through this experience. It's designed specifically for me. And then you brought it up as well, is that the long term for Carol's Daughter, think about all the data that they've acquired about this user and all the personalized correspondence they can have in the future.
All right, so going into our next study, we're talking about a Super Bowl campaign that we recently ran for PepsiCo. This is a campaign that was not directly promoting Pepsi products. This is actually for Pepsi's retail channel partners, specifically in the QSR vertical and the convenient dining vertical, basically everywhere that carries Pepsi and sells it to their customers. So this was for those retail channel partners, and it was around the Super Bowl, and the idea was to reach millennials within close proximity to these participating stores, interest in pizza and coupons specifically, because it was just Super Bowl. The idea was having pizza Super Bowl games. And the experience was that spin to win that we've been showing you the preview before. And there was a whole variety of different coupons that ranged in value from the very hard to get free large pizza, that was the big incentive, to the much more common, upsell a soda with a purchase of your order. And we had a custom logic built out so that even though, the wheel looks like it has, X number of wedges, we're able to control the number of high-value prizes that were sent out. And so there was really great results for this campaign. Again, there was more than 90% of people engaged with this game after they clicked on it. The email opt-in rate was really on the high end for a campaign like this. It was 30%. So people seeing that they had the chance of winning a free pizza or something, they said, hey, give us your email. We'll send you more fun offers like this. And people were willing to do that. We had 30% of the people who played this game gave us their email address and opted in for a newsletter. And the cost per conversion that wound up being about $2 when you took the budget and the spend and the number of email opt-ins we got. And so the important thing when you're looking at this is, okay, great, that's one campaign. But the nice thing about this is this scales up so well. Mm-hmm. And if you just take that formula of this is the cost of ad spend, this is my total cost for the campaign, this is my cost for opt-in, this is the value of one redemption, this is the lifetime value of an opt-in, because you're sending them coupons now in an email every month. So of those emails, what percentage are redeeming the coupons? You send them in those emails. You then look at the increased basket size from that. You can actually say, okay, there is a hard ROI for this campaign, and then it's just a matter of turning up that knob and increasing the scale of the campaign to generate more revenue. All right, Hud, I want you to take this one because this was your baby. This was Minions Love Bananas campaign we ran for Chiquita last year.
Oh, so last year Chiquita had a partnership with the Minions 2 movie that was coming out through Universal. 3?
Minions 3, yeah.
Minions 3 movie that came out, and their goal was really to capitalize this partnership and grow their audience database, which is an email list. And so they had some targeting criteria. They wanted to target mothers with children that are the head of household shoppers, and they wanted to drive them to Chiquita's retail affiliates, so different grocery stores. So our incentive for targeting this group was a sweepstakes. But we also wanted to add an element of everybody was a winner. We thought that was really great, and Chiquita is really a brand about providing happiness, healthy happiness. So we didn't want to have your typical instant win sweepstakes as you come in once an hour, you do something, says you lose. So we thought of it, they call it instant win, but in reality, it's instant lose for everybody except a very, very small few. Mm-hmm. So we had this goal in mind. It's like, you know what, everybody wins. But it's how do you really provide that? So what we did is we had a bunch of mini experiences or mini games. Then we integrated the games and the prizes together. So we had this thing called power-ups. So when you come in and you play a game and you reach a winning moment, which is a certain score, you could guarantee to get a prize. It may be a physical prize, which we were giving out, like tchotchkes, shirts, hats, a lot of cool Chiquita gear, but you could also guarantee to win a digital prize if you didn't win one of those physical prizes.
And the nice thing about those digital prizes, you can give out infinity of them.
Yeah, it's unlimited.
Water bottles cost money to manufacture and ship and distribute.
Well, especially if you're talking about thousands of water bottles and shipping costs, it's quite an investment.
But I can send out an infinity number of these power-ups and these wallpapers, very limited cost to the brand.
And we did get comments back from the users that they did like the wallpapers and the power-ups more than the water bottles, right? These were Minion fans. So you could win a digital prize, which would be a power-up, which then if you played the game, you could perform better, get a higher score, and unlock content.
I play my little game where I'm the carnival shooter. I'm throwing bananas at targets and matching the different Minions characters here, and again, making photos with my friends and I with the Minions and selling cards. So there was a whole range of experiences. It was kind of like a big digital sandbox that was on brand and then had fun recipes. And I think the coolest thing about this was, okay, so we had this big grand prize that got people in, and then we got people to keep playing, coming back with these instant prizes where everybody won. You had these fun games, so that it was actually fun to play. It wasn't a chore to play. And in the long term, we saw like a lot of activity. We had 239,000 hours of consumer retention over the course of 6 months. More than 5 million of these games got played. There were 8 million page views, almost 9 million page views actually, and fully 10% of all of the raw traffic that came to this site, from paid media, from Facebook, from in the store, people scanning the fun little stickers on the bananas to go to the website, 10% opted in to Chiquita's newsletter. They were saying, hey, Chiquita is a fun brand that has fun marketing that I want to engage with, and they completely voluntarily opted in to that newsletter. That wasn't a requirement for them to say win the sweepstakes or something. They just did that because they wanted to get more newsletters. And so that was a great number. And so the net of this was in 3 months, Chiquita's newsletter database doubled in size. They had been building this database for years, and in the course of the first, they got more opt-ins than they had for all of the years that they've been building their database before that. So that's just bringing it kind of home. That's really, ultimately the value is you're going to get more conversions. You're going to engage your audience. You're going to be able to build a community. You're going to be able to segment your audience. And the idea is giving them something that they like to do. So you're giving them that incentive, and you're giving them a positive experience with your brand. Okay, so wrap it up. Let's look at some high-level strategic considerations for gamified promotions. So mobile first approach, three big considerations here. You've got a limited window of activation, so participation and conversion needs to be immediate. You can't have a high friction experience. You can't ask them to fill out a long form that requires a lot of typing or click through a bunch of different pages. Things need to happen quickly, especially on mobile, because they're in the middle. They're shopping, right? They're hanging out with friends. They're watching TV and it's a commercial break. You need to get in and out really quick. Users prefer instant rewards for actions, as Hud was saying, and that instant reward doesn't just mean a chance for an instant reward, but like we did with the Chiquita campaign, everybody wins. Every time you engage with this brand, you get that sense of instant gratification, and you start associating, hey, if I come back to this Chiquita Minion site or this PepsiCo experience, I can keep coming back and getting these instant gratifications over and over again. And lastly, the promotion needs to be clear and concise. It needs to be bite-sized experience, bite-sized content. You're not giving people the Lord of the Rings here with an experience that needs to in and out of their lives, and they've got a great experience, and you've got a new follower or sold another unit. Another benefit of this is that the media spend can be optimized for engagement. So we use event tracking in all our HTML5 content, and what that means is typically when you're doing an ad campaign, you focus on awareness. And this is what people say all the time. We're going to give you this many impressions for this CPM, or we'll give you this many clicks for this CPC, and that's where the conversation ends, CPM and CPC. We'll do this targeting, we'll reach this audience. And that's all great, but it's really only the top half of what you're actually trying to do. It's not actually accomplishing goals, and it's not tangible. The idea of focusing on gamified promotions is that there's actual activity that human beings take after they've clicked on that banner ad. And there's so much fraud, there's so many accidental clicks, it's so hard to track banner spend, display spend, that having this deeper in the funnel engagement metric that you can track, email opt-ins, games played, coupons redeemed, all of that allows you to optimize your media spend to what's actually performing. So maybe you're getting a lot of clicks through one website, but none of those clicks are converting. So we can actually we can attribute the spend to all the different marketing channels, and then we can track where the valuable audience, not just the size of the audience, but the actual value of the audience coming in from all these different channels, and then allocate spend accordingly to increase performance. That's again part of why the Chiquita campaign was so successful. We weren't just going, okay, where are we getting all the clicks from? Where are we getting all the impressions from? Cheap impressions. We're saying, where are we getting people coming in and playing these games and opting in and looking at Chiquita's recipes that will go buy bananas and be brand advocates for Chiquita? Because we're able to track that, that's how we're able to generate such great results for it. So then lastly, how do you build one of these gamified promotions? We talked about the three factors: audience, experience, and incentive. This is how we look at it. These are called FunMobility nanosites. They're 100% HTML5, no app required, and they're basically these building blocks, these lightweight content elements that snap together to create these campaigns. So we break them into four categories. You've got brand content, which is things like ebooks, videos, how-to guides, games, prizes, and fun, which is the big focus of today, where you have that prize wheel, photo booth. You can make a greeting card. You can make a lottery scratcher, different fun ways of playing with content. You've got offers and coupons, which is the incentive side. And then you've got data capture and CRM. So what is the person giving you in return? How are you acquiring an audience? So you're not just putting content in front of your audience. You're actually acquiring an audience that becomes your own audience that you can remarket to more affordably than if you're just renting that audience with a display buy. So that's kind of how we break it down, and then we make these available to all our clients. So, Todd, what are these must-haves for success? Our final summary of everything.
I think number one is you have to be really clear what your business objectives are, and don't have too many. Mm-hmm. I really recommend having like maybe two at the most, like the primary and the secondary. Keep it really clear, and that allows you to really be focused on what is the best experience and how am I going to track this. And then when you're, actually the next bullet point there, it makes it a lot easier to communicate with your user. And get them to take the action you want them to take. Number 3 there, I'd say, if you can, I'd highly recommend instant rewards. It's guaranteed to be successful. And I would also say, when you're adding the experience, really be aware of your branding, how you want your brand to be perceived. If you have a game that does not align with your brand, the way you brand your brand, it's going to feel awkward, and it's not going to feel like you're having a really good brand experience. And we have a host of, we've worked with all kinds of brands that have all kinds of different businesses, so you can always fit a game in there. You know, you'd be hard pressed to find some brand that hasn't done some kind of gamification. It always works.
And
it always fit in.
To clarify, when we say gamification and what we've been talking about, these are fun, useful skewing kind of campaigns. But gamification doesn't necessarily mean literally a game you are playing. You know, it's just these 3 pieces. It's the idea of you have a certain audience that you want to have a certain experience, and you're going to give them some kind of incentive in return for them participating in that experience. So even if you're, you know, a classier or more high-end brand, as long as you have that experience you want them to take, you know, so whether or not it is, you know, discovering something or learning or being educated, you know, it still falls into this same framework. So yeah, there really is some fit for more or less every brand. All right, that takes us to the end of today's presentation. We went a little bit over, but I still definitely want to open it up for some questions. So let me open my handy little questions bubble here, and we'll take a few minutes to answer some questions. All right, question number 1, how do I put this in an email? Okay, so we've been talking a lot about email capture. How would we put these into an email?
Well, I mean, everything we do is mobile web, so in the end it's a URL. And you can access this URL via an email. You put the URL link in your email. And we can also tie it to your CRM database. A lot of times it's done through some dynamic parameter that's within the URL. So not only can you have an email campaign that goes to one of our gamified experiences, but you can know the user that actually clicked on that URL, and you can actually repopulate that to the CRM database, all the data that you gather when they click and go through the experience.
All right. So if I'm in their email database, you're in their email database, for the brand can take this base URL, and it'll be dynamically appended when it goes out in the email to each of us. So if you don't click that email, you don't read it, you don't play the game, you don't do anything, and I go through the whole thing, well then the CRM database will be populated and say, Kevin clicked on this and did all this, HUD didn't. And so you then know, and then you can then take any of the other data you have about people, and you can then choose what kind of follow-up you want to do based on what behavior they've done. We call that experiential segmentation. So you take their behavior, their experience, and you segment them based on how they're behaving with your experience. All right, so next question. How do I know ROI for gamified promotions? All right, that's a good question. It comes down to having you need to have some kind of metric that you can attribute a dollar value to in the end. So whether or not that is, that's great if you have some kind of thing that is driving them to a point of sale and you can get that point of sale data, right? So if they have a coupon, as an example, we use it all the time, and you control that point of sale, you can get that data, then you know how many coupon redemptions you're getting. Or if you have the e-commerce store. Beyond that, the typical is through A/B testing of comparable markets. So you can say, okay, we're going to run this. That's one nice thing about digital. It's very, very location specific. So you can say we're going to run this in 2 markets. We're going to run this in one market and not in another. And then you can see if you can attribute a meaningful lift in one market versus the other. Those are the main ways to do it. But the nice thing about it is if you can track a point of sale, if you can attribute a coupon or a promotion that leads to an offer, even if it's not a coupon, then you can get that hard ROI, and that's just really cool. That you can take spend and say, okay, I spent money here marketing to this channel, and that translated into this much money. And that, of course, is kind of the holy grail for marketers to be able to do that kind of proof. Okay, one more question here, then we'll wrap it up for the day. How do you know where the best traffic is coming from? I think I mean the source of, how do we attribute performance, I guess, to spend across different channels?
Well, I mean, we get that on the pre-plan phase when we construct our URLs, that we can have multiple URLs that have this UTM parameter that you can apply to a URL. So you can make a specific nanosite for a specific channel, and then you can see how well that nanosite is performing or that game is performing. And you know it's from that channel. And the channel could be mobile ads, it can be Facebook, it can be your own website as well, right? Another thing you can do is when you look at the analytics that we provide, you can actually see the refer. So you can tell where the user came from and how you acquired them. And through Chiquita, we found specific sweepstakes sites that were performing very well. So then we put all of our promotion dollars more towards the sites like that, or those sites themselves, to get higher visibility, and that dramatically increased how many opt-ins we were getting.
So I think let me see if I'm paraphrasing correctly. So we do what we call the UTM strings in the URL. So you take that base URL, that is where the campaign lives, that website, and then that URL is actually appended with all these different parameters based on if it is a display media campaign, based on if you're using different creatives of different sizes with a different call to action, different channels that you're promoting it across, and all that is built into the URL. So anyone who clicks all these different links with all these different UTM parameters built in them, they're taken to the same page. It's not like there's a bunch of different pages. It's the same page, but because they're clicking a different link that leads them to the page, we're able to see where they came from. So we can say a person came to the site, did X, with these different events that we're tracking, and then we can look at that in the aggregate and see where the spend is translating to performance.
Yeah, and then I'm glad you brought that out. I didn't want to confuse anybody, but it is still one creative. So you don't have to make multiple games, right? You still make one game. It's very manageable. We have a tool, and we have, or we can teach a process of how to easily do this.
Right. I mean, that's one of our mottos: build once, publish everywhere.
Yes.
And then as long as you have, we don't do as a service, but we track all the different places, and we can then, like we said, attribute performance to spend, and then as the campaign goes, we optimize that spend to where it's actually making a difference, and that's how you get more conversions for your budget at the end of the day. All right, with that there, we went a little bit over, but I'm going to wrap this up. Thank you, everybody, for attending. Again, a recording of this presentation will be sent out to everyone who registered for the webinar tomorrow morning. Make sure to come back on April 27th. We'll be talking about creating fun and engaging web content. That's for web publishers. That's going to be the first time we've run that webinar, so look forward to seeing everybody there. Thank you, HUD, for coming. If you have any additional questions, don't hesitate. You can get me at marketing@funmobility.com. If you have any sales inquiries, of course, reach out to sales@funmobility.com. Thank you, everybody, and happy hunting with those gamified promotions. Bye.